What's up, summoners? King Blair here. Today we're going to be talking about the custom Mystic Summon banner system that is going to be coming out in a month from now, as well as ranking the 5 and 4-star heroes into how I recommend for you to pull for them. So if you like the video, make sure you like, subscribe, and there's a server, link down in the description. Without further ado, let's jump right in because we got a lot. I will be breaking the video down into two different sections. You can skip to either one. The first section will be talking about the custom Mystic Summon system. We don't know everything about it, but the reason why I'm talking about it now instead of waiting like normal till we get closer is because it is so important that you guys know that this is coming, because I know a lot of you guys may not know and may not save your Mystic Summons. It is imperative that you start saving your Mystic Summons right now because you need to somehow get enough for 200 in the next 4 months, right? That is the goal that you're trying to reach. And if you don't start now, if you're free to play, it's just not going to happen, right? So you need to start now saving those crystals, refreshing that shop, and getting those mystics if you want to get the most out of this custom Mystic Summon banner that is going to be coming out again next month, and it's going to run for 3 months. So first we'll talk about that, and then we'll rank the 5 and 4 stars, which they're already ranked. I'll just show the list and talk about it real quick, but on how I recommend them and why I recommend it in that order, so you can make a decision for your own custom Mystic Summon system. But right, with that super long introduction out of the way, which is probably its own section, let's actually get to the custom Mystic Summon. What is it? What can we expect from it? What are some information that we're missing, right? So first, what we know, right? So what we know is that we're going to be getting this next month in April 28th. And essentially, you're going to get to pick your own MO 5-star and your own MO 4-star to summon for using Mystic Summons, right? So essentially, it's a selector that you can pull for, but you get to pick the 5-star and the 4-star. So that's amazing. We know that for a fact you're able to do that, right? And we know when it's going to be running. We also know that it's going to be a separate banner from the regular Mystic 5-star because we also are having the Mystic Summon concurrent with the separate Mystic banner kind of selector thing, right? So you can see that this is the other one, which again, by the way, make note of these because, you know, if you're a pity and you want that specific one, you may want to change the custom Mystic. If you're like close to pity on this one, maybe just pity. Like if you really wanted Briar Witch and you already had pity for Briar Witch, you could just get the Briar Witch and then get something else on the custom Mystic, assuming you have enough summons for all of that, right? You have to make sure you have enough summons because the summons are going to be pretty important. So again, that part, it is gonna, we know that's facts, right? We know that's gonna happen. We know you get to pick your own 5-star, your own 4-star, and we know that it's a separate banner. So there's some things that come up that we don't particularly know, but we kind of know how it's gonna work. So if we have had selective banners like this for the Covenant system, and essentially the way that the Covenant work, which is the exact same way, whereas you get a currency. So every time you summon, you get 1 of this currency, and it's essentially a pity counter. When you get 120 of this currency, you're able to pity a 5-star of your choice, right? But the cool thing about it is that on your way to pity, if you pull for the unit, it doesn't eat up your currency. So theoretically, you are able to get multiple MO 5-stars. Right? That's really cool. And that was what's really cool about the selective group summon thing. And I hope that they keep it from the previous systems. Normally, that's the way it was. And it's why they do currency rather than just doing a pity counter. So if it follows the same system as what we have seen before, then it should be very similar for this custom Mystic Summon system, where you're going to have the full pity. That's 200 and 110, which I know most likely will suck. So 110 for the 4-star, 200 for the MO 5-star. That does kind of sound like it sucks, but if it's the way that the other banners are, if you're lucky, so if you're someone that's a luck sack, you might actually be able to get several MO 5-star heroes because you're gonna be working towards that pity as you're potentially summoning for MO 5-stars, right? So that's the part we don't know 100% if it's gonna happen. But it's similar to the systems that have occurred in the past. I do not see why they would change it. I hope they keep it. The one thing we don't know for sure is the pity amount. We don't know if it's going to be 200. We don't know if it's going to be 100. We don't know if you're going to lose the currency. Usually you don't from previously. And the other thing we don't know is if you can select multiple MO 5 and 4-stars as you go. What I mean by that is because right now you can kind of see that it has those little change things there. So what would be really cool is if you could summon and then shop, which would be really broken because essentially if you're someone that's really lucky or a big spender, you could theoretically get every MO 4 and 5-star in the game. I personally don't think they will do this, but you know, there's a chance they will, right? So I don't know if there's gonna be like maybe you can only switch 2 times, maybe you can only switch 3 times, or maybe they'll let you switch forever, or you can only maybe pick 1 or 2, and they'll have some other items in the shop that you can buy with the currency if you already got the hero, or you can just get 2 copies of the hero, right? But again, that's something we don't know, right? So I'm not gonna make any speculations. We'll have to wait and see till they release more information when it actually drops on April 28th, right? We'll just have to see. But again, you need to start saving because in theory, you can get any 4-star and MO 5-star hero. So okay, that's it for this section. Custom Mystic Summon, it's coming next month. It's gonna be for a 3-month duration. And you from right now, you have about a month to save. So 4 months. It is possible for a free-to-play to actually get 0 to pity in 4 months, but that is going to require you to use almost every single Skystone that you get, refreshing the shop for you to be able to do that. So again, I know it sucks. I know it sucks for free-to-play. If you really want to get the most out of this, you're really going to have to start saving now and making sure you're hitting that refresh button and having a gold crisis as you're doing it if you want to get the 5-star of your choice and potentially the 4-star, right? So again, that's something to keep in mind and why I actually talked about this and why I think it's so important to talk about it now. But, you know, we still have time for the video. So we're going to go to the next session, which is going to be ranking the 5 and 4-star heroes. Big caveat to this section before you start saying, yo, King Blair, why is that unit down there? Why is this unit here? I'll go over kind of my thought process of MO 5-stars as well as the way that I made this list. So as far as MO 5-stars come in Epic 7, they're mostly going to be PvP focused. And at the end of the day, a lot of it is dependent on playstyle and what you're trying to do in the game and what you value, right? So my values and what I think is good and what I think is powerful and what I think is valuable and mileage and all this stuff might not be valuable to someone who loves like Katie's, and Katie's is the best content that they love, right? Or someone that maybe hates RTA, hates Guild War, and the only thing they care about is Arena. They might have a different priority than me. What I'm looking at is what unit can I get the most mileage of out of all content that is powerful in its own right. And that's how the worth it for this list is. I'm not saying that Strasse is better than a Ravi in PvP. I'm not saying that Fallen Cecilia is the most broken MO 5-star in the game. I'm just saying that I feel like these units give you the most mileage for what they are and how unique they are, right? Same thing with the 4-stars, right? It's just what I find most valuable is getting mileage out of your unit and having something competitive in PvP. And for PvE, if it's something unique that no one else does, that's also something you have to take into consideration, right? So that's how I made the list, and then I just ranked it from recommended. So this is what I would personally say you should put on that 5-star list if you don't already have, and you should try to get, and I'll talk about each of them. And they're not ordered, but again, it's just my recommendations and what you want. The strong options are things that honestly, just as strong as the recommended, I just personally felt that they didn't get quite the mileage that the recommended got, but they're still just super strong in their own right. These solid units are the units that, again, you cannot go wrong with these units. If you get them, they're pretty fun. They're good in their own rights, right? I definitely have some of these and use them very often, like Riolet. So again, they're solid, they're good, they're fun, they do good things, and they're good, they're solid. Then there's the fun tier, because, you know, Epic 7's about having fun and the niche. So these are heroes that do something very specific really well, or just are there and are really fun team compositions that you would not be able to do without them, right? They're just really fun and enable a lot of different really fun team compositions. And there's a not recommended, because right now, as they are, of course, make sure you look at the data of this video. These heroes do not add almost any value to your account. And then there's the not included. Why? Because it has to be a hero that's banners is the past 6 months. The only one we don't know about is Conquer Lilias. If Conquer Lilias is included, she would go all the way up to the top. That is something we do not know. She might be right at the tail end of those 3 months. She might come up. She might be able to be something you can get, but her banner was released in December. So if they're doing it, if they update the banner near the end, you should be able to pull for her. But again, we don't know that, right? So she's kind of in a limbo, right? We don't know. We don't know if she's going to have it or not, but most likely is not going to be included, which kind of would suck, because if she was, she would be someone I would highly recommend, right? So she would be in the highly recommended. If they say you're going to be able to get her later in the future, once the banner has been 6 months, then get her, because she's great. If they said you can't, she's just not included, right? So I just didn't know where to put her because I wasn't sure. But now let's actually go through them really quickly. And again, we could sit down and have very long discussions about each of them. So I'm just going to give you the fastest summary of this hero. And if you're interested in any of the heroes you see in this list, whether you like their design or you don't like their design and they're recommended, but you want to see what they do, I highly suggest you do more research, talk to more people, and watch other videos showcasing the hero to make sure it's what you want, right? Big caveat out of the way. I know it's very important that I say this, because I know someone's going to say, why is this unit here? Why is this unit not there? Right? So I'm just saying it right now because, you know, and we all make mistakes and we all value different things. But now with that out of the way, let's get right into it. And they are ordered 5-star to 4-star from left to right. So first, from the 5 stars on the recommended, Mediator Cowrick is arguably the strongest MO 5-star in the game. Why? He's good in every single PvP content and PvE. Ancient Inheritance, the new Guild War PvE, he's an amazing unit. Guild Wars destroys para defenses. You just slap on the boy Mediator and you go to town with him and you just win, right? Because he just cleanses all the para debuffs. You get attack buff, you get immunity. RTA, incredibly powerful unit, just a monstrosity of a unit when it comes to that. And there's some other PvE that I can't think of that I know you can use him for, right? So this unit is mileage. You can literally almost take him everywhere in the game and he will work, right? And he works well. Not only just works, he works really well. So he's the one that I also see that he has his Mystic Banner next month. So if you're close to Pity, just get him from the Mystic Banner. Assuming we don't get to just, recycle our coins, and you could try to get him there. But again, we don't know how that's going to work out. Make sure you wait near the end of his banner to hear more about the system and then decide. So Mediator, recommended. He gets his own Mystic. If we find out that the selector, you can select one only, and you can't change it, even if you get them on the way to Pity, then I would just recommend for you to get him from the Mystic Banner if you're close to Pity. But again, he's the most recommended. The other one is Strasse. Why is Strasse on here? He's very unique as an MO 5-star because he is one of the best PvE MO 5-stars in the game. He can one-shot almost every single hunt. I forget about Katie's, but Katie's does exist. He can one-shot almost every single hunt in the game with pretty low setup. Well, he does need pretty decent setup, and he needs good gear, but the fact that he can one-shot every hunt in the game with one unit, with very similar setups, is just incredible. He's also just one of amazing Guild Wars unit, one of the best Guild Wars units out there for Guild Wars offense, because he just one-shots those very bulky teams. You come in with your Amelia, you eat the Clilias, you push up with Amelia or with the Cleanser, push him up, he has 3s, something dies, right? Just really, really good damage. Arena as well, I know a lot of people use him, just a very good, solid everywhere. Fallen Cecilia, the reason she's here, she is the best defensive knight in the game because there's, she's just the best defensive knight. As far as PvP goes, there's no one like her. There's just no replacement for Fallen Cecilia. The barriers, the provokes, the tankiness, she's just a very good unit. Very, very versatile. Very, very, very great unit. I use her all the time in RTA and Arena. Oh, no, not Arena. Well, I used to use an Arena, but the big thing is RTA. There's no one like her. Again, she might actually be someone that could be going down, but as of right now, she's just been good for so long. It feels weird not putting her up in the recommended, but again, could potentially go down. And some people might suggest actually moving her down to here, just because you don't get the same mileage out of these two. Now, the other one, as far as the 4 stars go for the recommended, Angel and Angelica is kind of a no-brainer. This unit is one of the best PvP units in the game. And I know there's some PvE you can actually use her for, but her PvP is just on a different level, right? She's good for Guild Wars, she's good for Arena, and she's good for RTA. Defensively, offensively, cleansing, monstrosity of a unit because she strips and puts all these debuffs. Just one of the best 4 stars as far as PvP goes, right? It's just the amount of value she brings to PvP is incredible, and the amount of things she counters is just incredible, right? Stripping with non-attacking into a silence and an unbuffable on a high effectiveness unit, it's kind of hard to beat, right? It's not something easy. And then on top of all that, she's also anti-cleave, right? She's pretty stacked. On the other hand, Sinful Angelica is the other one I would highly, highly recommend. So both Angelicas up here. The big reason being Sinful Angelica is really good in Wyvern one-shots that she's just really good for Wyvern one-shots. One of the best Wyvern one-shot units, just because she's able to set up that attack buff, set up that speed buff, and let you go to town, right? And she can tank the Wyvern like a boss. In case you don't quite have the one-shot, she can take a round of the Wyvern, which is, it's always good to remember that you can tank one round, one rotation, right? That's always nice. So that part is pretty nice for her there. And as well as having one of the best Guild Wars and Arena presences right now. She's one of the best offensive units for both those contents. Just a very solid unit. Now for the strong options, I'm not going to go as into detail as the recommended. The further we go down, the less detailed it's going to be. But for the strong options, essentially these are units that are really strong on their own right. You just don't get the same mileage out of the recommended, right? The mileage of the recommended, it's through this roof, right? Strong options are, as far as meta, they're all pretty much meta. They're all very strong in their own respect. But, there's a lot of them, right? And there's different things that people will value. But Lion, just incredible defense unit in RTA. She's really toxic to deal with. And there's no other unit that can block souls, right? There's no other unit like her for RTA and Arena. Designer Lilibet, Again, one of the best anti-control options out there. Only second to Mediator Cowrick when it comes to anti-control, because she can't cleanse bombs from Sunrise area, right? That part kind of does hurt her a little bit, but she's an incredibly good bruiser. A lot of top players hate her. Really good in Arena, really good in Guild Wars. We talked about Alphonse Cecilia, who honestly should have gone here. Apocalypse Ravi, really solid unit, both in Guild Wars offense, I use her all the time, Guild Wars defense, Arena, and even in some Abyss stages and raids, I actually bring her because she's a really solid single target DPS that doesn't apply debuffs, right? Just a very, very nice little DPS to have. There are other options, but sometimes when you're just building something, you want to use it, you can definitely use her in some different content. Made Chloe, an amazing Abyss unit, incredibly good Abyss, still can work very well for Guild Wars and can still be used in RTA, although she's not as common. Really great buffer if you need a buffer and a reviver. Arbiter Vildred, if you got Stene, so you should have gotten Stene. If you got Stene and you didn't get Arby not a bad option. If you got Arby, you can get Stene, right? The reason why I say that is because Stene, so first for Arby. Arby is still a really good adventure farmer. I know people are like, man, can you just do the friendship farming and do whatever? I still really like him, and I actually switched my buy to attack because he was that good. He's still used in Guild Wars. People still use him in Arena. People still use him in RTA. He still sees a lot of play, and he's still a very strong unit. And he's very easy to build for newer players as well, because you can just slap on some attack sets and you can kind of help you farm early on in the game. And later on in the game, there are a lot of stages he's actually very useful for. You can use him in Green Expedition. You can use him here and there. He may not be the best in the slot, but he's very good at everything. He does everything okay, right? He's like a master of all trades. On the other hand, what's Stene? You should have been able to get these from the ML connections, but Stene is one of the best Abyss units in the game, as well as one of the best single target DPS in the game whenever there's not a lot of AoE. Why? Because she has that stealth mechanic that right now we don't have any unit that actually bypass it straight out. You can just have to AoE her, right? So you have to AoE her. She doesn't proc counterattacks, and in Abyss, she just stacks so many poisons and does so much damage that it just makes her one of the best Abyss units in the game, as well as incredibly powerful PvP. Honestly, right now, she's becoming the unit that I would almost recommend more for the ML connection rather than Arby. But again, if you didn't get her, it's a good time to get. The other one is going to be Ruel of Light, who just always makes things a lot safer in Guild Wars, being able to revive, in an Arena as well. I used to use her a lot in Arena. In an RTA, if you're someone that likes to play slow, likes to play bulky, she's a really good unit that actually enables you to do that. As far as the 4 stars, BBK right now is one of the best anti-cleave and cleave options, which is really weird to say, as well as having a bruiser build that's actually really unique, and someone actually has tried in the Discord has gone super hard on that build and was extremely really good with her. Giro, he made Emperor with BBK, right? So definitely a really solid option. Watcher Shuri, just incredible value right now. One of the best single target DPSs in Guild Wars and in Arena because of that speed imprint. Also make him be viable for RTA because he brings that speed imprint and that very high single target damage. Charlemaker Crusade, one of the only other really good defensive knights in the game, able to hard protect the backline. Kitty Clilias, really good in a lot of PvE content. She cleanses, she dual attacks, she is there to, do some stuff, and she strips, right? So very good support option for PvE, what makes her really good. And Assassin Sid, still a very, very, very good speed contester, even though there's so many other ones and he's getting a little bit power crept, he's still a very strong contester, as well as some people even using him as a DPS option for, doing single target damage. Not a bad hero at all. Really good damage against squishier, faster teams. So that's going to be for the strong options. Whew, I'm almost running out of breath. I need to start taking some breath between these. But now we are going to be moving on to the solid tier. So for the solid tier, these are heroes that, again, you can definitely get mileage out of. They're just not as strong as the other ones, or may even have some replacements to them. And for this one, we're going to start going really, 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 really fast. Last Rider Crawl doesn't see a lot of meta, but is really good at countering AoEs and AoE counterattacks, right? If there's AoE, he's going to do a lot of countering there, mostly PvP. Artima Mercedes, almost strictly PvP. Really fun RTA Guild Wars unit. Not Guild Wars. Oh yeah, I use it for Guild Wars, but RTA, really solid RTA bruiser type unit that a lot of people have troubles dealing with. Emma Celine, one of the best dark tanks for Guild Wars, just because she just tanks dark units like crazy, and a really spicy option in RTA because you're able to bring her in and apply that immortality, Briar Witch, one of the few units that has high crit hit chance, AoE, strip, and unbuffable. There's a lot of units with unbuffable, but she does a lot. That S3, she's a walking S3. Her S3 is a full strip, unbuffable, attack break, and she has a higher hit chance, so she's able to hit evasion units a lot easier, right? So there's that for her. Little Queen Charlotte, really good anti-dark unit, does a ton of damage onto dark units and really nice splash damage, as well as bringing a nice adamant shield to bruisers in RTA. In an arena, Ammo Haze, Guild Wars, and RTA and Arena. Again, most of MO 5 stars are PvP, but primarily there to stop anti-revive teams. Operator Sigurd, PvP only, mostly there to counter Fallen Cecilia or set up attack before your team. Remnant Riot, really high investment unit that is only really good for PvP, although you can use them as DPS in expeditions if you don't mind getting slightly lower than the optimals. I still use them for my dark, and I still do enough to pass. But again, very high investment unit, mostly PvP. A lot of other single target damage options, but one of the best single target DPS options. Solitaria, recently buffed, very good control unit for, again, PvP. Most of these units are PvP. That just does so much work in stunning and making sure slower threats are neutralized, right? Really good control unit. Closer Charles, PvP, really solid cleave enabler. Might actually be going up in the future because just the meta favors him a lot. Sage Bones the Sun, one of the best anti-cleaves out right now because you just slap on a ton of effect resistance on him. If he resists that Para or that Rand, he's going to get that CR bar, he's going to go S2, and he's going to stop the cleave right there and then without really having too much speed invested. Just a very good way to stop cleave. Then we have Oxlots, who is now to the 4 stars, 4 solid. We have Oxlots, who used to be one of the best setup units in the game. That has fallen off a lot. Emo Kawazu, really good anti-AoE for Guild Wars. A lot of people use her to counter Para, and can also counter Para in RTA because he's able to cleanse those debuffs and one-shot something. Challenger Dominial, still a cleave option. Used in Abyss like state 90, mostly for cleave to do single target damage and push the team up as a secondary CR bar pusher. Champion Serato, sort of anti-control, although control right now has gotten really strong, so you're mostly only going to be using her him in Guild Wars against those Caesarea Para defenses. Crimson Armin, another really good defensive knight. Definitely fallen off a lot more because of Hua, which is why I put her this much lower, but just a very solid tank and very annoying in the right tank team compositions. General Purgus, really good CR bar pusher, really solid Wyvern frontline tank as well as an attack buffer. Blaze Dango, actually a lot of PvE options because he heals on attacking and he just heals the team. And some people actually like to use him a lot for PvP, right? Because he's able to give that invincibility. Assassin Kali, really good single target damage that can actually hide in the right team compositions with the right gear. She's mad scary and people still use her because of her high base speed and high single target damage. And Tempest Surin, another dark tank that you can use, although not as good as someone like Celine. Decent AoE, kind of decent, definitely falling off. Very likely for her to get an EE or something in the future. But now that is going to take us to the niche / fun. These are units that just do something very specific really well, or right now are just kind of fun team composition units, but are not really going to progress your game as much. For one, we have ambitious Tywin. Right now, control is usually too much for him to handle, but he can be pretty fun because the way he cleanses the 1 debuff and then just cycles that S3 to stun the opponent. Very fun control unit if you actually get the right setup. Judgment Kise, she's not bad. I actually would have put her higher for later people in the game. Why? She dominates certain matchups. In the right situation, Judge Kisa just wins. But it's very hard to build her, and you have to have her in very specific situations. And it's mostly going to be in RTA, right? Only RTA, she's going to be doing all that stuff. Martial Arts Ken, solid dark tank. There's just a lot of better options, as well as there's a lot of people that get around it. But the counterattack mechanic, if you're able to bait it out, if they don't have high damage, you might be get some good cheese out of them. Faithless Litica, only addition she's this low is because of her low base speed. There's a lot of high speed threats in the meta, but if she's able to take that turn 1 and set up for your team, it is pretty nasty with a nice little strip and a reset that hurts a lot of units this meta. If you go before the remove, you strip him, and then you S3 him and reset his cooldown, he's now a useless unit. And then you set up skill mode. One really, really good setup unit, just a lot of different options right now. But again, can be really good if you get that outspeed. Emma Aura, such a fun stun unit. One of the best stun units in the game. She just stuns and burns, right? It's just immunities is prevalent, cleansers are prevalent, mediator, Dilibep. She's not seeing the best time, but again, very fun still. Specimen says, honestly, there's no one like him. He's a stun composition unit where if you have a team that can stun reliably and you have good gear on him, you'll win. If you're missing your stuns, you're gonna lose. Kind of fun. Some people have success with him, but very, very niche. Just really mostly for fun. Top model Luluka, single target DPS that can also push up. Not the greatest base speed, no protection, and it makes it really hard for her to have a place in the meta. But again, still pretty fun, right? I still like to take mine out every once in a while. I'll bring her in. Maybe if I want to get rid of an RB, I'll put some really good speed gear on her. S2, S3, pop the RB, have fun with it. And even if I'm playing Bruiser, she does get that stealth and can be in the backline doing some damage. Now, as far as the 4-star in the niche fun, Emma Kawana is legit just there for Katie's Hunt. She is pretty decent at Katie's Hunt though. So, if Katie's is something you're looking at doing, not a bad option. They're just usually most teams that people use don't even run her. Assassin Cartuja, really great evasion. Super fun with evasion team. Evasion Nation, I actually tried it out. Very fun and addicting, but very RNG. Not really a viable PvP strategy, but it can be really fun, right? And you can win a lot with this, but it's just literally a coin toss. On the other end, Shooting Star Katie's, she's one buff away from being an incredible unit. Essentially budget Ruel, if you want to think of her that way. She's a very, very budget Ruel. Emma Leo, bomb unit. Bomb teams are really cool to look at, like with Emma Flan, Samurai Seria, Emma Leo, but he doesn't do a lot outside of that setup. Fighter Maya, decent dark tank, right? That can actually one-shot. People use her as an A Ravi tank sometimes whenever they know they have enough damage to kill the Ravi quickly. Celestia Mercedes, I don't see her used a lot, but she has a really cool AoE, double AoE, where you don't really need the soul burn as much to actually get that double AoE. And she makes her own book for the soul burn. So you soul burn and you do a double AoE. It's pretty cool. She can do decent damage. You just don't really see her. And then, of course, Wanderer Silk, really fast, can push back a unit and can have Guiding Light to, stealth herself and be kind of an annoying control unit. Crescent Moon Rin, a decent immunity setup with speed, but her base speed is not bad, but there's just a lot of things that can get rid of that immunity early on and things that are immune, right? So that's going to be for the niche fun. Now, as far as the not recommended, the reason why these units are here is just they really don't add any value to your account as they are right now. And that is going to be Dark Corvus. He used to be the king of Guild Wars. He's not used there. He's not used anywhere. If you get Dark Corvus, you're really not going to be able to use him. And he's also not particularly fun. I don't think anyone is like, oh, yes, I want to take 20 turns to kill one unit, right? So I don't particularly think he's like the funnest unit. And he really doesn't do much. He literally does what Hua does in one turn. It takes him several turns. So, yeah, not the greatest. DJ Bazaar, there are so many better cleanse options than him. But with the right gear, he can be really solid. Honestly, could even go up here. But it's just there's way too many other units that do his job very similarly. That it just feels like, why use him when there's all these other heroes, right? So it's not that he's bad in particular. It's just that there's so many other heroes that you could use for his own role. But if you don't have those heroes and you do have them, he can fulfill that role for you. Broman is just a worse version of AOL. It's sad to say that, but that's what it is. Will be fun to see him with Jacko once Jacko comes out, to see if he can actually have some fun. He's just not reliable enough. And Shadow Rose, terrible base stats, terrible kit. And yeah, that's going to be it. So, and the other ones, of course, most likely not going to be on there. But that's going to be it for today's video. I know it's a little bit of a longer one. Hopefully you're able to skip around to different sections. And yeah, that's all I got for you guys today. And I will see you next time. Peace.